I go to school every year. As autumn draws to a close, leaves fall abundantly outside, and above, there are clouds engaging in lively conversations. My heart brims with nostalgic memories of school assemblies. How could I forget the feelings of that morning, blooming in my heart like fresh flowers smiling amidst the vast sky? Those thoughts I have never once penned down because back then, I didn't know how to write, and today, I cannot recall them all. Yet, every time I see little ones hesitantly hiding under their mother's hats, embarking on their first journey to school, my heart swells with joy and anticipation for the next morning. That morning, on a misty autumn day filled with chilly winds, my mother tenderly held my hand as we walked along the long and narrow village road. Though I had traversed this path many times before, this time, I suddenly noticed that the surroundings were all changing, reflecting the significant change within me. Today, on my way to school, I didn't wade through the river to release kites like Kwai, nor did I venture into the fields to play like Sun. Clad in my long black fabric coat, I felt dignified and composed. Walking upright along the road, I spotted several other children, just as small as me, in their neatly dressed attire, cheerfully calling out each other's names or exchanging books. I longed for the 2 new notebooks that were in my hands. I began to feel my grip tighten around them, but one of the notebooks slipped and fell to the ground. I quickly picked it up and held it tightly again. As the other children ahead of me embraced their many books and even rulers, they didn't show any signs of difficulty. I wanted to test myself, so I glanced at my mother. She handed me a pen and ruler, and as she bowed her head to look at me with tender eyes, I thought, well, even if Mom holds them, it's okay. I immediately had the thought that perhaps only thou could handle such a meaningful pen and ruler. That thought passed through my mind lightly, like a gentle cloud drifting across the mountain peak in front of the village school. Everyone at ML school looked neat and tidy, with bright and cheerful faces. Unlike a few days ago, when I passed through Hoan village with Kwayan and Min, visiting the school for the first time, this time, the school appeared different to me. I wandered around the classrooms, peeking through the windows and noticing the maps hanging on the walls. I didn't feel any different about the school being taller and cleaner than the houses in the village, but this time was different. Before me, ML school looked both charming and imposing, like the village communal house. Its courtyard was spacious, and the building itself was taller than during the quiet summer afternoons. I felt a vague sense of fear, just like the new classmates around me, standing timidly beside their relatives. They dared only to look halfway or tiptoed step by step, like fledgling birds on the edge of the nest, gazing at the wide sky, eager to fly but still hesitant. Their hesitant steps added to the fragmentation of letters E and S in their hearts, as they crumbled bit by bit, silently wishing to be like the older students, who knew their classes and teachers, to avoid feeling awkward in this strange situation. After a while, the urging drum beat in my heart. The former students of the school came to form a line under the school porch, and entered the classroom. I felt somewhat lost at this moment, surrounded by clumsy and awkward boys like myself, all of us lacking the courage to step forward. They only moved forward under the force of the kite, being pulled ahead without stopping, and the more they struggled, the more evident it became. With each step, their legs contorted like bamboo being bent. When one leg gave way, the other stretched out firmly, as if kicking a soccer ball. I imagined at this moment, their whole bodies were trembling in rhythm with the bustling steps in the classrooms. The headmaster of ML school called the new students forward, standing in front of the 3rd grade classroom. Since our village school didn't have a separate office for the headmaster, he read each name from a list already written on a large piece of paper. I felt as if my heart had stopped beating when he called my name. I even forgot about my mother standing beside me, waiting to hear my name. After he finished reading the dozens of names already written on the large paper, the headmaster looked at us and said, "So, you've all been placed in the 5th grade. You must study hard to please your teachers and parents, and to make yourselves happy. Have you all understood?" Everyone listened, but no one dared to answer. Fortunately, a fake cough from a parent answered the headmaster's question. He looked at us with gentle and moved eyes, and the students in the 3rd grade classroom all turned to look outside, where some people had stopped to watch. At this moment, we were being watched more than ever before, so we felt even more awkward. The headmaster took off his white glasses, looked at us, and said, "All right, line up here. Stand under the porch to enter the classroom." I felt a gentle hand push me forward, as if from nowhere. At that moment, I suddenly felt strangely heavy, unable to maintain the embrace of a shirt, or the arm of a loved one. A few boys gradually stepped forward to stand under the classroom porch. They stood there, looking out at the courtyard where their loved ones were watching them with affectionate eyes. One boy at the front hugged his face and cried. I instinctively turned around, burying my head in my mother's chest, sobbing along with her. I heard behind me in the group of new students a few hesitant sobs that lingered in the throats. A familiar hand gently stroked my hair. The headmaster smiled patiently and waited for us, saying, "Children, don't cry. You'll go home at noon today, and you'll have the whole day off tomorrow." After seeing the line of students lined up neatly under the school porch, the headmaster gestured for us to enter the 5th grade classroom. A youthful face with a smile welcomed us at the classroom door. In my childhood, I had never felt so far from my mother as I did at that moment. It was also because there were days when I spent the whole day playing with my friends in the village fields. Yet, even then, I never felt far from home or my mother. A familiar scent filled the classroom, and the pictures hanging on the walls seemed strange and interesting to me. I looked at the desks in front of me, neatly arranged, and suddenly felt that they were my own possessions. I looked at the small friend sitting next to me, someone I had never met before, yet I didn't feel any strangeness. That sense of attachment was natural and surprising, and I couldn't believe it was real. A little bird flew to stand by the window, chirping a few times before flapping its wings and flying high. I eagerly watched the bird. Memories of trapping birds in the rice fields, or by the riverbanks flooding back into my mind. But the sound of the teacher's chalk hitting the blackboard brought me back to reality. I raised my hand to the table diligently, ready to write and mumble spellings, reading my writing exercise. I go to school,